In fact, the aviation watchdog, which is DGCA, has now gone on to say that all checks had taken place in presence of DGCA officials where the fuel switch was reported to be functioning all right. But why is it that the Air India pilot then logged it as a faulty fuel switch? What we're seeing right now is two contradictions here coming to the fore as far as that version of whether or not it was the fuel switch that was faulty, that was defective or not. Air India says it was defective, it will be sent back to Boeing for inspection. But DGCA, the civil aviation watchdog in our country, has now come out and said that when it was inspected in the presence of DGCA officials, it was functioning fine. In fact, this is a statement that has been put out by the DGCA. It's a rejoinder as far as the Boeing 787 aircraft is concerned. It goes on to say that both left and right switches were checked and found satisfactory, with the locking tooth pawl fully seated and not slipping from run to cut off. When full force was applied parallel to the base plate, the switch remained secure. The DGCA has gone on to say that there was no issue as far as the fuel cutoff switch is concerned. This despite the Air India pilot logging in that there was a faulty switch. A switch that Air India has now gone on to send back to Boeing for further inspection, and yet the civil aviation watchdog there coming on to say that it was absolutely satisfactory, the kind of inspection that was done as far as that particular fuel switch was concerned. The DGCA in its statement also going on to say that applying external force in an incorrect direction caused the switch to move easily from run to cut off due to the angular base plate allowing slip when pressed improperly with a finger or thumb. So the DGCA there going on to say that the switch in itself was not faulty, but maybe an error in how pressure was applied to that switch. That's something that could have caused this particular snag on board that Heathrow Bengaluru flight. Anvit, my colleague, continues to be with us, getting us more details. Anvit, it's these contradictory claims coming in from the civil aviation watchdog and Air India. What's really brewing here?
Exactly what I was saying, that investigators need to look into the detail of whether it was a mechanical glitch or an electrical one. Because if it was mechanical, then probably it was only the problem with how the fuel switches were placed. But if it is electronical, then it can also lead to cut in the fuel supply, because generally fuel supply regulate the fuel switches regulate the supply of fuel to the engines. If it was an electrical failure, electrical malfunction, then when the pilot says the switch is not locking not staying in the lock position, then it could have very well meant that fuel supply is also certainly somewhere or the other being hindered. That could have been a big thing. But if it's only a mechanical issue, then there could be a possibility of that probably the make of the switch or the upper area of it, or maybe the how the pilot was controlling it. That could have certain differences as to how it needs to be performed. So there could be differences, mechanical or electrical, that DGCA as well as the Air India needs to come out clear with this. They have not been sharing it clearly. They've also not been sharing why this flight was taken when pilot had encountered this glitch, whether he had seen it before the flight or not. Why were the passengers not told that there could be some such a problem on the flight, and why that decision was taken not to ground that flight in Heathrow itself? So there are multiple questions that needs to be answered. DGCA has now come and they've said that there's no issue with the fuel switch. Their detailed teams from DGCA must have they have inspected these switches. But Air India has now made it clear that they will certainly be, regardless of that, will be sending it back to Boeing for a detailed inspection. And in the meanwhile, they'll be asking them to fit another pair of fuel switch in this particular aircraft, so that this can be brought back into service and there would be no chance of any risk to any passenger's life. This is what Air India is claiming.
But now, Anvit, as far as this DGCA statement is concerned. Now, Anvit, as far as the DGCA statement is concerned, they go on to talk about how the inspection of this switch was satisfactory, and that there was that the lapse or the snag, so to say, could have happened due to an external force or an external angle in which it was pressed or not pressed. They seem to be hinting at pilot error in this case, if I've got that correct?
Yes, kind of. And this debate was yesterday also being done. We spoke to some civil aviation experts also, and they've also said that this could be possible, but this can't be ruled out that there could also be a mechanical failure here. So even DGCA will come out with a detailed report. They must come out with a detailed report also as to what went wrong exactly. And when the pilot has said that the fuel switch isn't sticking in the lock position, then it certainly demands a detailed investigation. Air India is sending switches to Boeing, but that does not complete the responsibility here, because when this happened, there and then this needed to be flagged. That flight should have been grounded. it shouldn't have flown 11, 12 hours to back to Bangalore, and
Right.
then being flagged that there's a problem with the fuel switch. So hundreds of lives were put at stake if there's certainly an issue with it. But electronic or mechanical, that needs to be made clear. If it is electrical, then there could be a repercussion as bigger of that magnitude as it was with AI 171, and that's something that we would not want to be repeated again.
Right, do stay on with us, Anvit. Captain Kabir Malik is also joining us on the broadcast to get this into perspective. Thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. How do you look at what the DGCA has now put out, the civil aviation watchdog there, perhaps hinting at the fact that it wasn't really a lapse or a snag on part of the mechanics in itself, but could have been pilot error, if I'm reading that correctly from what the statement says?
See, when I saw yesterday also, and the statement was very clear from my side, this problem is with this machinery is 100% because the technical department of this Boeing, they already declared almost 10 years back that this problem will come after the 10 years of manufacturing of this aircraft. And I'm 100% sure this problem was there and absolutely is there. Why the DGCA are trying to hide this situation from the department and the government? It is really very shocking because if they will play such these kind of role for the towards of safety norms, definitely our passengers and the country people will be in danger. So they have to be completely look on that and have to investigate properly with the technical department. When the pilot is already declared that this problem had been, came in his knowledge when he was in Heathrow Airport. And after landing in Bengaluru, the same problem he saw after the landing also. So we could not be denied and be just ignore this technical clinch from and we cannot be trust on DGCA. DGCA always try to hide these kind of problems from the public. Secondly, I would like to be in your knowledge that when this 171 preliminary report has been came from the DGC and the technical department, they raised the questions on this fuel technical switch. The same problem on the same series aircraft yesterday also happened. So I'm really shocked why they are playing with the people's life. Really very shocking for this. And I don't think so. This matter is to be ignorable. They have to be taken on the priority. And
but Captain Malik, then what is the solution to this? I mean, if we have Air India who's saying A particular thing and then the watchdog saying B particular thing, what comes next? What is it that the government perhaps should be doing in your opinion?
Madam, yesterday I said that they have to discontinue this kind of 787 series of aircrafts from the service until unless they will not have the complete and permanent solution such these kind of problem. If they will not be discontinue this kind of aircraft, so definitely we will face the again same kind of air incident upcoming in future also. So we have to be very particular and we have to be strict, and definitely the action has to be taken by the government in very strongly towards of the Air India also and towards of Boeing machine also.
Captain Kabir Malik, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18 and sharing your perspective on that. And with my colleague, we'll continue to get us more details. But this is a big twist that has come to the fore as far as the Air India Boeing 787 technical snag is concerned. This was on board a Heathrow-Bengaluru flight. Despite there being a faulty switch, the pilot flew from Heathrow in London to Bengaluru. Why is it that the issue was only flagged off upon arrival in Bengaluru? Why did the aircraft fly for as long as it did is a question many are asking. At such a time, the DGCA has now come out and put the onus on the pilot as far as this fuel switch is concerned, going on to say that there seems to be some amount of external pressure or the angle in which the switch was pushed. That seems to have caused this issue, and it wasn't really a mechanical fault as such of this fuel cutoff switch. We'll of course keep a track of what transpires in this particular case because it is about passenger safety. Air India flies hundreds, thousands of flights every day. Thousands of passengers fly on those flights. If there is an issue with the Boeing 787 fleet that the Air India flies, then that needs to be addressed, and we'll keep asking those questions.